Happy podcast day, Falcon Paladin. We're back again. Can't
We
stop
are back.
us.
Wait, what? Yes, we are back again.
Yep.
What tried to stop us?
You can't stop us. They can't stop us. We're back. They can't stop us.
Correct. No one is capable of stopping us. That is accurate.
It's true.
Without a doubt. They did try, but it wasn't enough.
Yeah.
And there's no reason to believe it will be enough in the future. So that's nice.
Yep.
Righto. So yeah, March is doing March things up here. We had like a whole week of just beautiful weather. It's sunny. It's 65, 70 degrees. All the snow's gone. Everyone's like, ah. But I was like, you can't trick me. I know what March is in this state. And yeah, it's been snowing for like 2 days straight now. But it will do this thing where it like dumps snow and then 10 minutes later the sun comes out and melts it all. And you're like, well, I'm going crazy. Like none of this makes any sense. It was winter 4 seconds ago and now it's not.
It is currently a lovely 72 degrees-ish. Yeah.
See, there you go. That's what I want. That's what I'm here for.
It's been like raining on and off though. So it's the flip side of that. We don't get snow. We get
exactly.
Rain. Yeah. We both had falling water. It's similar enough.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Anywho's, what do we got? We got StarCraft to talk about. We've got some more Warhammer to talk about. It's a good time for sure.
Yes. Start with StarCraft?
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Yeah. So Group D for GSL played.
There's a dark mode on Wikipedia now.
Yeah.
Is that new? I didn't see it until like yesterday.
I've had an add-on to do it.
Oh, nice.
So
okay.
If it is new, I don't know.
I think, I didn't even have to like flip a switch. I just came to Wikipedia yesterday and it was like, here's dark mode. It's on. And I'm like, what the? Cool. I'm down.
Neato. I will say, actually, it seems like it's using the default one.
The default one?
Like, well, the built-in one. Like, I took over.
So your add-on is like if there's already dark mode, don't do anything.
Yeah. Which seems nice.
Yeah, it's not bad. What's up, Duddles? Anywho, yeah, so we did Group D. Little surprise, tiny bit here.
That Sola didn't make it out? Or?
Yeah, just because, again, traditionally he has to make it a little bit further before he dies every time.
Right, yeah.
He did win a GSL, though, so maybe... It's funny he takes a step back. It's like he goes, make it to the quarterfinals every single time and lose.
Right.
Win a GSL, and now not make it to the quarterfinals. It's tough, man.
Yeah.
Tough look. So yeah, Kieran Hero make it through. Ryong doesn't, no surprise there, but Solar gets murked. He didn't win a single map.
No.
He gets 2-0'd by Ryong. Then he gets 2-0'd by Hero.
And then he's done. Yeah.
Okay. Brutal.
Yeah. Which means that there's officially only one Zerg in the next group stage for the rest of the GSL.
That's insane. And it's Ragnarok. Like, of all the Zergs, right?
Right.
Like, I would have expected DRG to get through over Ragnarok. Or Solar, obviously.
Right.
Or Sue. Or Dark. It goes without saying.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, the great Zerg hope, Ragnarok. Come save us, Cyril. Move to Korea. A lot of Protoss representation, man. Stats is here. Classics here. Heroes here.
Protoss might even win this one.
I know. It's been a while.
If Mara wasn't playing, they might. But,
well, I don't know.
Do you think Maru's in
Maru's
full form?
Maru. Yeah, that's the thing. Again, it's Maru. Sure. He absolutely could crush this group. Make it to the quarterfinal, win, maybe drop one map, and you're like, oh yeah, Maru's top of his game. But it's also very possible he doesn't make it out of this group. He's just Maru, man.
Right.
So we'll see.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Yeah. Man, it would be so interesting to see stats win it. It's like, all you weak sauce Protoss, I go away to military for 2 years and you fall apart like the pansies you are. Let me show you how it's done. Bam, wins the GSL. That would be hilarious. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really vibe with like all the other people who go to military and then don't come back and win immediately. Right? Like nobody's really done that.
It's true, but stats is stats. I'm just saying, from the perspective of like Protoss is complaining the game's imbalanced against them, for stats to be like, well, I wasn't here, guys. That was the only problem the whole time.
Right.
And then a balance patch goes through, and it's like, oh, now there's some help.
Do you think the balance patch will change if Protoss win here? Like they'll revise their revisions.
Maybe they're like, oh, they don't need help against Widow Mines or Cyclones at all. This is ridiculous. reverse all the changes.
Yeah.
I think that would. I mean, I don't think they will. They generally haven't reversed a lot of stuff that they put in their PTR. It's usually like the PTR is here, make sure nothing's wildly broken, and then bam, push it. And maybe a couple things are different, you know.
Yeah.
But
It's
that doesn't.
usually how it goes.
It doesn't have to be that way. Yeah, I mean, they could obviously be like,
Yeah.
let's do another PTR. Let's change a bunch of stuff here because Protoss just crushed everybody in GSL, you know.
Right.
Yeah. Again, hilarious. That is the funniest outcome. Maru winning is the least funny outcome, but it'd be nice for Maru fans to get another GSL. Protoss tiers would be massive. Any chances for Beyond Cure? Gumio?
Always Beyond, I think.
Yeah.
I think there's always a good chance for him. Cure and Gumiho, I can see them getting out of their group, but I don't see them beating like a Beyond or a Maru in a TVT.
Sure.
Yeah,
Agreed.
that's just my thoughts.
Yeah. All right. It'll be fun.
That'll be fun. When are they playing? That's the important part. What time?
3 in the morning. Again, everything's 3 in the morning. They used to have different times, and everything's 3 in the morning now.
No, it's all 8:30 in the evening. Ugh, I can't
I
stay
know,
up
it's
that
terrible.
late.
I know. It's terrible for both of us. They hate us, Omicron.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if it's in 2 days, that makes it Thursday night, and I'm not working Friday, so I can technically stay up, I suppose.
Might be doable.
Might be doable.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna watch the VODs when they show up on YouTube the next day anyway. So it's not that big of a deal.
Probably what I'll have to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's very minor StarCraft news, but a wasp flew into Raynor's PC and broke one of his fans. I thought that was amusing.
Whoa.
The
That's
world
weird.
is telling him not to play computer games at the moment, it seems.
There's a gap in his PC case big enough for a wasp to fit through.
I don't know. Maybe he had the cover off to clean it. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe he just runs with the cover off. Some people do that
It's possible.
for cooling purposes. I don't know that it helps, but I've definitely known people that do run with the side panel permanently off. So
Really?
yeah. And they say it's for cooling. It's like, this is, tons of airflow this way. And I'm like, but also like a bunch of dust.
Right.
But all right.
If you say so, buddy.
Yeah. Do what you want to do. And it's always like supercomputer people, right? It's not like grandma who's doing this. Like someone who runs Linux and knows more about computers than I do.
I don't think Grandma cares about the airflow.
No.
Yeah. It was a tiny Italian wasp as Duddles. They call them salami stingers.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Salami stingers? That sounds made up. Duddles, you pranking us?
You making things up?
He is. He's totally making things up.
I'm going to Google that. It's just salami that I got. Yeah. Could have been way worse.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's just telling me how do I tell when salami's bad?
Yeah, Duddles is lying to us. That's cool.
He is. Maybe salami stingers Italian? Italy? Nope. Italian.
See, there you go.
Nope.
Duddles, wasting our precious podcast time. So zany.
How dare you? How dare you,
Mm-hmm.
Duddles? Maybe, I mean, yeah, okay. But he might be making up with the name. But maybe his tiny wasps are really tiny. You can just fly into a computer.
No, why are you giving you the benefit of the doubt at this point? Don't do that.
I mean, I want to believe in the good in him.
No, don't do it. We're moving on. All right. Is he still planning on moving to Korea?
As far as I'm aware,
Awesome. Sounds good.
yeah, yep,
Maybe he can do what Dart cannot do. Beat Protoss in 2024.
yeah.
Yeah, just going back and thinking about those games he had against Classic and Stats, it's like they're not, again, they're not really doing anything different. Like, I didn't watch Stats and go, whoa, what a new take on this matchup. It was just like Carrier, Mothership, Void Ray, High Templar, Immortal, just hybrid Sky Toss. Everything was normal, and Dark just couldn't handle it. So execution, I guess. I don't know. I can't figure it out.
Yeah.
Need more evidence.
That'd be nice.
It would.
Just play more games. Why did they make GSL smaller? Make it bigger.
Yeah.
Spend more money on GSL, please.
Yeah. Exactly.
What could go wrong?
All right, cool. Warhammer time?
Sure, yeah. I'm never gonna say no to Warhammer.
All right, sounds good. So this week I read Tales of Heresy,
Tales of Heresy.
which is a collection of short stories set in the Warhammer universe, specifically during the Horus Heresy, obviously.
It is a wonderful
And
anthology.
yeah, since you don't have access to the afterwards for some reason,
Right.
here's what who wrote this time? Laurie Golding. Don't know who she is. But she wrote the afterword and said, basically, we, had Dan Abnett and Graham McNeil, all these people writing books. But we wanted to audition new authors and explore smaller storylines within the Heresy. So basically, they would assign them a short piece to write. They'd give them a topic and say, go. And then if they liked it, they'd give them a larger book to write. So this is tryouts. I thought that was interesting.
Oh, that is interesting.
Yeah.
That explains why there's kind of a lack of unified theme amongst the short stories.
Absolutely. Yep.
Because I was like looking for one, and I'm like, okay. I remember reading these and like enjoying most of the stories. I think Wolf at the Door is a little long.
Sure.
But like you get to the last church and you're like, oh, okay. So you can
Yeah.
totally like wrap up that the emperor is like a giant hypocrite and like he wants peace, but the people he puts in charge of war to make peace are totally just dicks willing to like kill the people they just saved because they won't bend the knee, right? And you
Yep.
could have this great like you could almost have something of a moment and a unifying theme, and then they don't end on the last church. They end on After Deschia, which is just like a Primarch origin short story.
Right. Which is good. Like, it's amazing.
It's really well written,
But
but
yeah, it doesn't really have anything to do with the theme.
yeah,
Any kind of theme. Yeah.
yeah, and its placement in the list doesn't make much sense. So
No, definitely not.
yeah. What I will say is that they actually have multiple anthologies, right? They have Tales of Heresy and something called the Lupercal's War, which is just another collection of short stories. But in the second one, they have some of the short stories from the first one as well. So Lupercal's War also has The Last Church and like Liars Do and After Deschia in it. So like they've repackaged it and sold it multiple times. Maybe they make more sense in these other collections.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Maybe?
Liars Do is not from this collection. It's actually from a different collection called Age of Darkness. So there's multiple anthologies of short stories, and they're just mixing and matching.
Yeah.
Yeah, but don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, again, if these were just tryouts, maybe they weren't planning on publishing them at all. And then they were like, yeah, these are good enough to publish. Let's do it.
I mean, maybe, but like Greg McNeil, James Swallow, Gav Thorpe, and Dan Abnett, these are not people doing tryouts. These are people who have already written major entries into this series. There's sure Mike Lee, Anthony Reynolds, and Matthew Farrer. Sure,
Yeah.
go for it. I believe Matthew Farrer
Yeah.
at this point had written 40K before, right?
Yep. So it's a
Like
mix.
it's a mix.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So I don't know. Which one's your favorite?
ooh, probably the Lost Church,
Yeah, I think so too.
which um, there's not a whole lot of a plot in that. It's the Emperor just like battling wits with the last priest
Yeah,
at
but
the.
I think that's what's good about it. Because you don't get to spend a lot of time with the Emperor in Warhammer, right?
No.
No, never. I
No.
mean, this is like probably the longest conversation anybody has with the Emperor in the Warhammer universe, right?
Yeah,
That
yeah.
we get to read,
Oh,
right?
yeah. I mean, the Horus Heresy just wrapped up, and by sheer
Ah,
function of like the Emperor needing to be a character in the final moments of the Horus Heresy,
oh, okay.
there,
So there's a
there's
bunch there.
there's a couple of conversations that go on there. Like he has a lot more in book screen time than he does here, even though he's on 100% of the screen here.
Right.
But it's just because it's a short story, there's less of it. But yeah, other than that, this is probably it. Master of Mankind also has a bit of the Emperor. So, it's up there. It's like top three for sure.
Yeah. So it's a lot of fun. And I mean, it's good to see the Emperor's perspective on, religion versus reason, you know?
Reason, yeah, science and
Yeah.
reason.
Yeah. He's like super, super, super dedicated to the fact that the idea that religion is responsible for like all of the suffering and all that stuff of Terra, right?
He,
And
yeah, he's definitely labels it as like the reason the reason he gives is like religion is why humanity is heading towards species death, right? Like
yeah,
extinction, and I have saved it from that, which I don't know. It might be true because he lists a bunch of like here are all of the corrupt tyrant priests that I've saved the world from, but it's also like
yeah,
you you also unleashed the Thunder Warriors, and there are Thunder Warriors in this book. That's neat. You get to meet those for the first time.
yes,
On 50,000, just like peasants who were like fighting with pistols and pitchforks. And
right.
he's like, priests will you feed you happy lies, but I will slaughter 50,000 people because they wouldn't throw out my banner, you know?
Right. And that's the thing. The key here is that it's belief systems. Believing in something has been used as a rationale to kill people and oppress them and torture them and conquer them for all time and eternity. And the belief system of reason is no different for the emperor, right? And I was kind of wanting the priest to make that point, but he did not. And I was like, all right, cool enough. All right, dude,
You
go
kind
ahead, kill yourself in your church, whatever.
how long into the book did it take you to work out that the mysterious man going by revelation was the emperor?
Almost immediately.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's couldn't have picked a simpler name, you know.
right.
That's
No, look, man, the emperor has an ego. That's the other
true.
thing.
That's true. Yeah.
And what's also interesting about this is it's good to get his perspective because it shows you how committed and how ultimately and perfectly devoted he is to this idea that religion needs to die.
Right.
Right.
Which
And it explains the further decisions that he makes. The decisions to wipe out certain planets that are discovered during the Crusades and not others, right? Like
right.
at first I'm kind of
Monarchia.
like, man, he's really really harsh about this religion thing, and it's like, oh, okay, this is who he is. Like,
Yeah.
this is who he's always been. This is not new. And these are his very specific thoughts about this. I just thought it was helpful. I liked it.
It's a good piece of uh, like understanding for him, like to get to
Yeah.
know what the Emperor's goals and what drives him. I mean, how did you feel about the twist at the end where this priest, this seemingly 80 something, 90s, very, very old man, I'm trying to remember his name, Uriah Olathair,
Hmm.
had actually been worshipping the Emperor. Like when he
Yeah.
fell on the field of Golgestia or whatever it was, the Emperor had healed him and asked him, like, why do you deny me? And he took that to be a religious experience.
Yeah.
But he's like, oh, I've been, you're my god. I'll do anything you ask, pretty much.
He's not alone. This happens a lot. Yeah. Yeah, it happens a lot. And it's one of the more hilarious aspects of the Emperor is that he is so against religious belief and yet becomes a major figure who is worshipped and believed in forever at this point.
It's not even that he gets worshipped, because, like, a lot of that, like, officially happens after he's enthroned, right? But it's that everywhere he goes, he can't not appear to people as a godlike figure. Like, the moment he's like, all right, fine, no more games, and then, like, he is immediately surrounded with an aura of light. It's like,
Right. Right.
you couldn't have just, like, revealed your armor but kept the lighting in the room the same. You had to, like, ethereal light from behind you to make yourself look divine.
It's a good point. He could have forestalled a lot of this stuff just by like not doing stuff like this, which he can obviously do because he does it in this story.
Right. I mean, it is interesting that, like, Uriah's faith in the Emperor as a god is very much the proof of his point that, like, you can't strip faith from the people, they'll only crave it more. Because that's
Right.
immediately what happens.
Right.
There's people start looking for faith and they turn to the Emperor. It's like a
Yep.
microcosm of the Imperium, but, like, hundreds of years earlier. And, like, the Emperor
Yep.
had a warning and didn't do anything.
No.
Didn't, well, maybe he did do something, he just didn't do it properly, you know? I will say this is The Last Church by Graham McNeil. Graham McNeil also did 1,000 Suns.
Right.
And when Magnus is, like, getting his back broken and is, like, reaching out for the warp to, like, help him save his sons, there is a line which is, and Magnus could hear the ticking of a brass clock with mother of pearl inlaid hands and a cracked face.
Ooh.
And that is referenced
Ooh.
here as something that Uriah had stolen in his youth from, like, a mad clockmaker who had, like, thousands of clocks in his palace.
Yeah. Doomsday Clock.
The Doomsday Clock, which is sent to chime at the end of humanities, like when all hope is lost, and, like, it's a little on the nose to be like, and as the last church on Terra burns, all that can be heard is the ticking of a brass clock, signaling that the Emperor is actually killing humanity, not saving it by getting rid of religion. But
Yeah.
it's an interesting thing that pops up in later books, I guess, or maybe an earlier book. You know what I mean?
Wherever it is chronologically.
Right.
Yeah.
Graham McNeil loves to, like, reference in other stuff that he's written. It's
Yeah.
neat.
It's fun. Yeah. Definitely a fun thing to do.
So what about the other books?
Well, as long as we're talking about the Emperor, there's After Deshe,
After
which,
Deschia.
in which the Emperor does not appear yet. Yet is probably the central figure in this short story.
Yeah, I mean, I would say Angron's the central figure, really.
But everything that Angron is doing is a direct result of what the Emperor did.
More or less, yeah.
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 Okay. That's all I'm saying.
So the Emperor goes to Nuceria, which I don't think actually gets mentioned what the name of the planet is.
No.
No.
He's hunting for his Primarchs that were scattered and he lost them.
He's just doing Great Crusade things.
Wait. So it's Great Crusade if I happen to stumble upon a Primarch, hooray?
Yeah.
I thought he was looking for him.
I
He's
mean,
not?
yeah, he is looking for
But
them.
it's not the primary effort of what he's doing. He's like, I lost my Primarchs. Crusade advance!
I mean, it's both. So originally he was
Hmm.
making the Primarchs to lead his Great Crusade. They would be his
Yeah,
generals, right?
right.
So they would lead the Great Crusade, but then he didn't. He lost them. The warp took them, scattered
Yes.
them, and so he's like, "Well, I still got to lead the Great Crusade. I still got to go do this thing. I just got to also get my Primarchs in the mean, like between here and there."
I just figured it was like he went out hunting for them, and as he found them, he'd like send the new Primarch with his legions out on crusade.
No, no, no. They were
No,
like,
he crusade first, Primarchs later.
well, at the same time, like you know, because like in after Deshi in the story, Khan is telling the story of the Crusade when he fought with the Ultramarines and the Iron Warriors, and Perturabo was there, and the
Yeah,
Emperor was there,
yeah.
acting like a giant light bulb. You know.
Right. Yes, as he does.
Yes. So it's pretty clear that they're like, okay, we'll crusade around, and if we find them, great. But like the Emperor's
Hmm.
massively powerful, godlike psyker. He probably, I don't know, feels the direction of which way his Primarchs are, and like is leading the Crusades probably in those directions, right?
Okay. Fine. That makes sense.
That makes lots of sense.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah,
Anywho, so I mean, I don't know. Again, we're the book doesn't give us this scene. We just get Angron's retelling of what happened.
right. Where he gets teleported,
Yeah.
presumably to the Emperor's ship, has a chat
Yep.
with the Emperor, kills a custodian, and then gets teleported into a cargo hold of a warhound ship. You know?
And the Emperor's like, "Here's your Primarch, peace,"
You guys deal with it. I don't have time.
which is like the Emperor has a lot of bad dad moments. This might be like the biggest bad dad moment that
It's
I have read so far.
it's up there.
Because like from Angron's perspective, he ends up on this planet. He makes friends. They're out there murdering folk and warring and fighting against the power and doing all this great stuff. And he has all these people that he loves in his tribe, and he's unstoppable. And it kind of weirds him out because he never loses and he doesn't know why.
But I mean, I think he knows why because he calls everyone paper skins because they're like made of paper compared to him, right?
Yeah, but he's like the rope idea, right? You carve
Well, yeah,
a
it's an
rope,
honor
like
rope. Yeah,
yes, it's a scar that you carve across your body
yeah.
in a rope that winds around, and black parts are battles that you lose. Angron doesn't have one of those,
Right,
and
because he's a Primarch on a planet of
yes,
normal people.
and it
He knows that.
confuses him. He knows. Does he know he's a Primarch?
Well, he knows he's not normal.
Right, and it confuses him.
I don't know.
When he's talking with Karn, he's like, look at this. I don't have any. What is it? Ever he calls them black
A
marks,
black knot.
a black knot. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, he's showing like so when he's showing Khan his rope, he's explaining
yeah,
what the rope is because he wants to know how do the warhounds show their warriorhood, right? And for
right.
him, that's the rope, and he's like, "Look
Yep.
at my rope. There are no black knots on me. I am so freaking mighty." You know?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like they're. I want to remember a part
Look,
where he specifically acts kind of like confused, like proud of it, but also like, what the hell is going on? You know?
yeah, I mean, look, he's not exactly right in the head with the butcher's
Mm,
nails.
he never is, right?
Right. What I will say about this story is if you want to read more about it, it gets incorporated into another anthology, which is the Primarch series. So each of the Primarchs inevitably gets their own book, and they took After Deshia and threw it in with two others and made that like the actual origins of Angron.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So you would get more about like him when he was actually fighting in the cities because like I have the knowledge that like of what he was doing before and after Deshia, before and
Right.
after Deshia, and like he was like a gladiator, and like he would fight bouts, but like the other warriors who thought he thought had like warrior promise, he would refuse to kill them and like instead break bread with them after defeating them, and that's how
Yeah.
he gained his band of mercenaries. And then they broke out, and they have a severe distaste of like noblemen who are just kind of abusive in power.
Yep.
And like that's what he
That's
thinks the emperor is, one of these high riders who would sneer and call names and use grenades. So there's a lot of context there that I have that I know you don't,
right.
because this book didn't really go over it. But you know,
Yeah.
what it does do is really good.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, yeah, we haven't talked about like the whole conceit of the story is that we are introduced to the warhounds standing around like talking about who needs to go down there next. And you're kind of like, wait, what's going on?
Yeah, they're like, well, the Grand Master of the companies went down first, and he died. And then,
Oh, no. We are pretty sure he's dead. We can't hear him anymore.
And then this guy went down, and then that guy went down, and
No one's coming back.
then this guy went down, and two of his honor guard like demanded to go with him. And yeah, well, we've waited long enough that we think they're probably dead. We can't hear them anymore. And now it's Khan's turn, and even Khan, when he's like going in there, he's like, it's kind of a moot point on who should be next. You're gonna go in right after me anyway.
Right. And he's like, the survival rate is not good so far. Yeah. So, I mean, it's this incredible experience of poor Karn being in a room with an enraged, insane Primarch who doesn't understand why he's there and is pissed off that the Emperor took him from his home and his friends. And anyone that comes in to the room with him, he just kills because he's a Primarch and he can do that.
Right.
So Karn ends up getting like stomped and thrown and punched, and he, to his credit, he does not die quickly, which is very nice. And the whole time he's just trying to talk. He's just trying to talk to him, trying to explain that, because Angron's super mad that nobody will fight back. He's like, you guys suck. Like, why are none of you warriors? Why won't you fight me? And Karn is desperately trying to explain that you are our Primarch. We've sworn not to lay a hand on you. That's why. It's not because we're afraid. Maybe because we're afraid a little bit, but also because we made this promise. And I mean, the poor guy, he says it 5 or 6 times, and finally, because Angron's pissed off at the Emperor, right? So he thinks that his warhounds are subjects of the Emperor, which they kind of are, but you probably shouldn't lean into that too hard if you're Karn in that situation. But he basically is like, who did you make this promise to? Like, who did you promise that you won't lay a hand on me, that you won't fight me? And he says, to each other. And Angron's like, I get that. Like, that is something that I understand, is making promises to your brothers. And like, that's a major breakthrough. But bottom line, Karn manages to get through to Angron in a way that the 5 or 6 other Astartes could not.
Right. And like, Angron is so enraged that he like and doesn't understand like the situation he's in entirely, because he's like, I can see you're built for war. Like, I know a warrior when I see one, but you're not fighting back. What's going on? And then when he is convinced that like maybe all of the warhounds aren't honorless dogs, he's like, I'm allowed to leave this room, and he's like, yes, we're on your flagship. Like, the entire armada is yours to command.
The friggin' Emperor didn't tell him any of this? Like, what is this whole thing? I just, like, I understand the Emperor is a busy man, but one, the Emperor is a powerful psyker. You can't be like, all right, we're going to get in Ingron's mind real quick here. Help him understand what's going on a basic level so he doesn't freak out. Make sure he's good. Make sure he understands what's happening. Integrate him with his legion, and then we can move on. No, the Emperor does none of these things because he sucks.
So I think one of the big things that you're missing here is the butcher's nails. which are the brain implants that he has,
Could the Emperor get rid of those?
with not without killing him.
Really?
Yeah, it's covered in one of the books. It's one of the things I talked to you about. I sent you a message that like the Emperor later tries to remove them and is like asking tech priests of Mars to come help him because like even he can't work it out. And he's like, oh, I can't remove these without killing him. And what's worse is that they're slowly consuming more of Angron's brain. And like it goes very clearly into detail that Angron can't think a non-violent thought without it causing him immense physical pain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
it explains most of what Angron is.
right. So the idea of the Emperor just like telepathically telling him all the stuff he needs to know is likely to result in a psychic seizure for Angron.
Fine.
Like that's how it reads to me. Like maybe it would work, maybe it wouldn't. I don't know. He doesn't try at least, anyways, or at least Angron doesn't tell us that the Emperor tried. Because again, we're getting
Yeah.
what the Emperor did from Angron's perspective.
Yeah, that's true. Anyway, it's great. It's just fantastic. It's just really, really well done. And I mean, like, it's dark in the hold where Karn is. And so, like, he can't see where Angron is. He'll just be, like, cautiously trying to hear where he is. And then he gets picked up by the leg and, like, thrown against a wall. And he's like, ah, crap.
It's one of those really great things that is thoroughly dramatic for the scene it's in, but entirely
Yeah.
forgets that Astartes can see in the dark.
Bummer. Well, yeah, thematically very cool. Anyway, yeah, I like that one. I like that one a lot.
I would like to say I think it's very funny hearing you say the words "poor Khan" and like "poor dear sweet Khan," because we've seen him in other books.
I know. But in this story, I'm just saying.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yep.
So, okay, we talk about the voice next.
Yeah. So the
The
voice by James
sisters.
Swallow,
Yeah, the sisters story.
the Sisters of Silence on the Black Ships.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
So effectively, our story starts out on a whatever the black ships. Yeah.
Yep.
Black ships that basically during the crusade when they're finding psychers that are incredibly powerful and cannot be repurposed to serve the Imperium.
Yeah, I mean, I can. Yeah, what they do is they take all the psychers regardless.
Yeah.
And one of the things that they do is they send them back to the Sightless City on Terra, and they will soulbind them, which basically kind of teaches them to focus or draw their power from the lighthouse on Terra, which is the Astronomicon.
Okay.
It's the thing the Emperor ends up powering when he's stuck in his chair. So basically, like, they consider drawing their power from the Emperor or like channeling it through the Emperor as a conduit, and that, in theory, makes it a lot safer for them. And that's essentially what astropaths then do, right? They lose their sight, that's why it's the sight of the city, and then they can work in astropathic ways to send text messages back and forth across the galaxy, right? It's not that they just do that wherever they are. They have to round them all up and send them all back to Terra to do this process.
Okay. So every
And
psyker they find ends up on a black ship at some point.
every
it.
single psycho, whether or
Okay.
not they want to be there or not.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough.
Yeah.
So anyway, they get a mission to go out and find another black ship that hasn't reported in, that is missing.
That has I don't know, they like have coordinates for it though. I feel like they find it very quickly. Like it's gone missing, but it should be in this area. Go look.
Yeah, the last we heard it was around here. Go find it. And they do. I mean, for
But
story purposes, I didn't need them to go hunting for 6 months. You know.
no, yeah, I mean neither did I, but it's like they found it in the warp, which
Yep.
is
That's
weird.
not supposed to be possible.
It's very difficult. Other books that I've read are like, yeah, even fleets that like make translations into the warp near each other very quickly lose sight of each other, and can't like fly in a fleet formation in the warp. They just
Yeah.
like the rolling waves of ethereal energies just make it impossible. So the idea that there's just a ship sitting there somewhere and like you can get close enough to dock to it is strange to
It's
me. Like
weird. Fair
it's
enough.
weird.
Okay.
It's not like the worst thing in the world, but the fact that like you could have just been like, it's not in the warp. You you could have just made it be in space. Is the story vastly different if it's just in space?
Probably not.
Probably not. But this is James Swallow who did Nemesis, who
Mm-hmm.
likes doing weird stuff with psychers.
Sure does. There's a
Because
pariah in that story too.
there's two pariahs in that story.
Yeah.
The Black Pariah, who also has a bunch of like, it's something I didn't talk about last week, which is the Black Pariah spear is a null, like he's a negative psycho,
Right.
but like Erebus is able to talk to him telepathically.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be able to do that, right?
Okay, but Erebus though.
Er- if we needed another reason to hate Erebus, it's that he like the world rules of the world don't apply to him. Yeah,
Right.
sure, but like he also like melds with like a demon skin thing, which should be repulsed by the null. But okay, sure. But what we have here is another story of like sisters going to find a black ship, and black ships are filled with psychers, and they get there,
Mm-hmm.
and the ship's in the warp, and it's like the Gellerfields were maybe down for a bit because the ship's starting to age, like in random bits and patches into like the tune of millions of years, and it's like falling
Yeah.
apart, which is cool. I really like that.
I mean, it's definitely an indication that the warp is did something here. Yeah.
And they get in there and they find this other sister, um, in like meditation and like maintaining a ring of silence around a gestalt psychic entity. Like all the psychers on board broke free and became like one big psycho, like one mutated conglomerate psychic consciousness.
Right.
And the sisters on board the ship weren't able to kill it. Like they didn't have enough people to maintain the ring, holding it in place, and to go forward and kill it. Um, it's yeah. Do you want to explain what happens? Because it's weird.
Yeah. So effectively, they figure out that the psychers on board the ship became an amalgamation.
Mm-hmm.
They all merged into one psycher entity thing.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And,
So
but
so they're like, "Huh, how do we kill this thing?" But then it's like, "Yo, we need to talk to you." And that there some of them are like, "Okay," and some of them are like, "Abomination, kill it anyway."
right. But it knows one of them, Leilani
Yeah.
Molitas. It's like who is the point of view character for this story, who is a novice sister who hasn't yet taken the oath of tranquility, and so
Right.
still speaks. But everyone else is doing lovely hand sign stuff, and like it's a great way to. I really enjoyed that they like have her mentor, the I think it's Amadera Kendall, who's always using thought mark, which is flowy, and in the audiobook it's just like a person talking, but like this other sister who's there is only using battle mark. It is like full of harsh, swift actions, and is just
Right.
like mission engage, null parameters, find ship, board, destroy, evacuate. Right? It's a great piece
Right.
of characterization to make them had use different kinds of hand sign. I really like that. But
Yeah.
this warp monster is talking to the novice and is like, I have a message that there is unending war coming, but we can save it. You just have to talk to me. And I'm here from the future.
Yeah. Which is the crazy thing. That's where it gets weird. Like amalgamation of psychers, warp, blah, whatever. Fine. That's fine. But like this thing is a sister of silence from the future. And I'm like, wait, how?
But how?
If you're trying to sell people on stuff, like make it plausible. Like what is going on here?
Wait, Yeah, so the Psyker claims that the Psyker, who is also a Null Maiden, is like, they say we don't have souls, but obviously we do. I've had to bargain and sell it away and make pacts to get here, to
Right.
tell you something. Which is like, again, James Swallow wants to do weird things with pariahs and be like, no, they really can be affected by the warp. See, they can sell their soul to warp entities and to time travel. It's like, can they though? They're kind of anathema to the warp, James. Like, it's a good book. I still just like get annoyed when I'm like, but they're null maidens. This isn't how this works, James.
No.
James, no. Basically, nobody believes this thing. It
Right.
feels
For
like
good reason.
yeah, for good reason, for good reason. But Leilani
Okay.
has like this moment of she's like, huh, I get it. If this was required to me from the Emperor, I'd totally do this. And like finds
Right.
her inner silence, accepts that, yeah, I would totally become this giant amalgamation of psychic monstrosity. And one of the other sisters that they came to save, to like rescue her, it was just like, okay, if that's you in the future, I'll just kill you now, and drives his sword through her spine.
Which is I found a rather impressively
Direct.
bit of foresight. Yeah.
Yeah. Direct action, great way to solve the problem.
Yeah. It's very funny
It is.
because you're like, oh, there's going to be this discussion and they're going to talk about stuff and there'll be visions. And this sister's like, nah,
Yeah.
none of
No.
that.
I'm gonna just put my sword through your spine. Call it good.
Call it good.
Yeah. Which,
So, but okay, but like, what? That's my question. What?
what?
Why?
Why?
Is the amalgamation telling the truth? And if not, what's the point? Is this just the warp likes to fuck with people?
Here's the thing. It's totally reasonable to pull like away from this story and just say the warp wants to fuck with everyone it can. That is
Fine.
that is
See,
certainly a
that's
valid
option
interpretation.
B.
It
Yes.
is option A is this person did manage to come back in time and tried to warn the Imperium of impending war for all eternity, and nobody would listen because this other sister, the overly zealous sword in the spine, traitor one, is also treating her work like a holy mission from God because she is, plot twist, a faithful of the God Emperor.
Right. Which, hey, more of those.
More of those.
There are so
Infecting.
many of those.
They're cropping up all over the place. Yeah.
Okay. But where is the connection between coming back in time and the psychers on this black ship merge themselves into an amalgamation? What?
That's where she came back in time to.
What do you mean?
She makes deals with the warp, we're assuming. We're taking entirely at her word that that's what happened. Which is why
Right.
maybe option B of just like the warp is fucking with you is the better option. But
Yeah.
like, she's selling her soul or parts of it to get back to here. And this is where she ends up. Like, maybe
She
because.
ends up part of an amalgamation of psychers.
Sure.
Is she the whole thing? Is she one
Is she the most
part
dominant?
of this
Maybe.
whole thing?
It seems like it.
Why couldn't she go back in time and just be her? I feel like you can communicate a little more easily with your past self if you're not a horrifying monster, you know?
Right. I mean, she's still a null, so she still can't, like, psychically affect herself, or shouldn't be able to. So it kind of makes more sense that she ends up in a psychically present location where she is, right? Like, that's a thing that needs to happen. Like, two parts of the warp can talk to each other even though she's there. Does that make
Okay.
sense? And
Okay.
where is she present? Where she and the warp is also heavily present. It's in a ship in the warp, right?
Yeah,
So maybe
at
the
one
story
time.
does need to be in the warp. Problem is that's also where she dies.
Right.
So,
So, hey, we introduced a paradox. Good job, everyone. What was
well,
that? You said the word time travel?
Maybe it's not a paradox. Maybe when she died and went into the warp, then she was able to make those deals to go back. Her physical form dies, but not her
Yeah.
spiritual one.
Some demons like, before you get torn apart for all eternity, I got something for you.
Have visions of the future. Whoa. Go
Yeah.
back in time and try to save yourselves.
I mean, we know the demons do that. We know the demons have some advanced notice and they like telling people about it.
They like rubbing it
People
in.
is a
Yeah.
difficult word in this situation, but Magnus. Uh,
Yeah. So this, that's this entire story. There's a little more about like the two fully fledged battle sisters who don't get along.
yeah.
One of them's breaking their oath while the other one's in a Star Wars back to tank healing their wounds.
Having a great time.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's not a bad story. It's weird. I like it for being weird. I just feel like it struggles to fit in to the rest of Warhammer in any real way. Like again, there's no theme in this anthology. There's just
No.
it's a collection of tryouts, and it's a good tryout for James Waller, who at this point probably already wrote Nemesis, and I think Flight of the Eisenstein. Yeah,
Okay. So not much of a tryout then. No, he's doing
yeah,
fine.
yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely already wrote Flight of the Eisenstein. Yeah.
Okay. Good to know.
Um.
All right. Next one. I think this might be the last one I really want to talk about here. For
Okay.
me, anyway.
Sure.
Wolf at the Door, man. Space
Okay.
Wolves. 954th Expedition.
Uh-huh.
Like, oh man, this one got to me.
The Greybeards.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, what happens? I mean, it's just basically they're crusading. They get a really weak signal from a planet they thought wasn't uninhabited. So they break off from the rest of the crusade to go check it out. It's probably nothing, but if it is, we'll crusade it, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they show up and yeah, there's a bunch of humans here and they're not interested in your offer of joining the Imperium. And that's because aliens are invading them pretty consistently and torturing them to death and taking everyone, and it totally sucks.
Yeah, and they basically feel like the Imperium will do nothing different. Like
Right.
they don't trust outsiders, which fair enough. If I had Dark Eldar raiding me for 200 years, that would make sense.
Super fair enough. So, as luck would have it, the Dark Eldar show up while the wolves are on the surface, blow up their ship, and commence raids on the planet. And the Space Wolves are like, if we save these people, if we stop this, then they'll join the Imperium. It'll be great. And so they spend like months. They spend so much time on this planet. Like with limited ammo and limited supplies and like no ship to fall back to, no nothing. Just like playing insurgent against this invading force.
Yeah.
I mean, they're using guerrilla tactics. They're down, like Astartes are dying every once in a while. And effectively they win. Like they managed to get the Dark Eldar to descend into infighting by killing the current leader. Because our leader, who had the idea?
Bulvi.
Bulvi had the idea.
Yeah.
He's like, they're just raiders. That's it. Like the strongest one of them is the leader, and if the leader dies, then they all fight each other to figure out who the next one's going to be.
Right.
So if we can kill the leader, then we can get them to basically stop worrying so much about you guys. Yeah. So they do it. And then, hey, coincidentally, at the same time, the rest of the fleet shows up from the Imperium, wipes out all the Xenos.
Yeah.
And it's this amazing scene where it's like, we have fought side by side with you to free your planet from these Dark Eldar. We've bled together. We've fought together. We've saved each other's lives time and time again. And Bullvi is like, all right, we did it. We conquered. We got rid of your enemies. Join the Imperium. And they're like, nah.
So, yeah.
Just like, okay. So I kind of get it. Like,
Uh-huh.
I kind of get where you're coming from here, humans.
Andras makes a point, right, where he's like, "You taught us that a life worth fighting, not worth fighting for, isn't a life worth living, right? You've helped free us from oppressors. We finally, the first time in 200 years, have a chance to live as free people. We don't want to be a part of your giant spacefaring imperium worshipping the All Father, giant wolf man." And he's like, "Say what now?"
He's like, but I was so sure.
Ugh.
It's an incredible moment. And Bullvi, no hesitation. He's like, all right, you rejected the offer. Bam, you dead. All your people are dead. Thanks for playing peace.
Our
It
ships will
is.
now attack your people. We will enforce compliance if we have to. Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to orbitally bombard you for a while. And we're going to make you part of the Imperium. And a lot of your people are going to die again.
Yeah.
It's just. But it's so good at highlighting the ability the Astartes have to flip a switch, right? It's like they are very willing to go from we're helping these people, we are fighting alongside them, I respect them as warriors, to boop, they cross this line that the Emperor set up, therefore enemies now, therefore dead, let's go. Like, there's no hemming, there's no hawing, there's no like, oh, maybe these guys. It's like, I respect your position. Like another book series that's not Warhammer would have been like, oh man, you got some balls on you, kid. You know what? We will leave you alone. If you need any help, call us again. Bye. And it's this like feel good thing, right?
Right.
Not Warhammer. That is not how Warhammer handles this.
No. Warhammer goes, okay, bolt is ready. We've got 6
Yeah.
shells left, and one of them's got your name on it.
And we're going to use them on our best friend that we made.
What's even better there is that they're like celebrating having finally removed all the Dark Eldar, which
Yeah.
they get back to like their main town with like their senate is, and all the people come out of these bunkers that they've been hiding in for months with the last of their food, and they throw a great feast, and the Space Wolves are like, it's a meager thing, but to us at that time, it was a feast fit for Russ himself, and it was glorious, and we drank and we laughed, and we were battle brothers with our lesser cousins here. And then I offered him my left hand, and he spat on it. You know?
Right. And that was it. That's the end.
That's the it. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, that one hit me. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Because honestly, I've been primed enough to the point where I'm like, this is too feel goody. This story is like, they won against the invaders. Hooray. And I'm like, where is this going?
They're dangerously close to a happy ending. What's happening?
Yeah. I was like, we don't do happy endings in the Warhammer. Goodness, no. Yeah. All right. Nice. Oh, nice work, Mike Lee. Nailed it.
Yeah.
You got the Warhammer in your story. All right. Do you think they have to like get consulted about that? You think any of them like write a book that's a little too feel good, and they bring it back, and the people in charge are like, no, make it darker. And it's like, oh, okay.
I know. So I recently watched a interview that someone did. I posted it in the Discord about an interview with Dan Abnett, right, about Legion. And Dan Abnett was saying that like there was a guy that they had to go to and be like, here are my ideas for the book. Can I do this? Can I do that? And like get approval for a lot of things. So It's possible that they were like, "Yeah, we don't want you to have a happy ending. We want you to make sure these characters stay put,
Yep.
usually 6 feet put." But like, I don't know. Maybe not for happy endings.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that anybody would come and write a Warhammer book where it's just like sunshine and rainbows, but
Right,
maybe a little too close to like a good resolution because those do not exist.
right.
Not in the Horus Heresy.
No.
All right. Did you have any others you wanted to cover here?
Okay, so I really like Blood Games. Just
Yeah, I thought Blood Games was
because
fun.
Blood Games is fun, mainly because you get a good look at like what the custodians do on Terra all day. Like
Totally.
they're just like these golden bodyguards the Emperor has, and now you're like, oh, they like hang out and do stuff there. They like monitor everything on the planet. That's crazy. And like there's a
Mm-hmm.
point where they're like, we need official authority to do things as well. Like we need to be sanctioned. But they're all like, well, but they don't know we don't have authority. Let's just go and dig around anyway and see if we can get it while we're out there. Amon Teramakian making his way to like assassinate the Emperor in the Hall of Lang is great, where he's like,
Yeah.
blending in with the Migu, and they're like, and they get high on this stuff called Kush. I tried to buy the Kush, but they weren't having it and tried to kill me. So I snapped one of their arms, and they looked not like hurt, just depressed that they were forced to have to employ actual violence and really try. Like at no point in their minds had they considered they would actually have to work to kill me.
And then it
Like,
goes really bad for all of them.
it
Yeah.
goes, yeah, it goes really bad because you don't want to fight a Custodes. But
No, not really.
especially if you're just like a Gene Bolt Ogre or Ogren, like it's just a big guy, you know?
Yeah. If you're not a Primarch, you don't want to do this. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a lot of fun like that, and like you're learning more about like they have 712 names, each inscribed on the inside of their armor, and there's some like ethos to these people, you know. And then you get like a little side story about like hunting out spies that might be talking with Horus. And then Dawn appears and he's like, "No, you fool! It was my spy!" And Dawn's
Yes.
angry, and like at the end of the book, you're really like, wait, so like the entire thing was just maybe that the Astartes and the Custodians should talk to each other? How was that not considered before this moment, you know? I really think that's funny. It was just like, Dawn, Praetorian of Terror, didn't think to consult the Custodians on like
Right.
who that they were setting up as a spy.
Yeah. I mean, that's true to life, though. Different law
Yeah.
enforcement organizations on Earth today do that all the time. So, yep.
Yeah, it's a true thing that happens. It just feels ridiculous when they're like so much at stake, you know. But yeah, it's real, I guess. Yay,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that was nice, though.
Yeah, it's nice. There's not a whole lot to it. I think that's Blood Games is great. I liked it, but not a lot to it.
Hmm.
I'll just touch on Signs of the Storm. The word bearers strike gold. What should have been gold for them, but are like now evil because it's post Monarchia, and isn't that sad? And Lorcar's writing a new book.
Right.
Yeah, it's sad, but I feel like this book is entirely unnecessary if you've read the first Heretic.
Totally. That's how
Yeah,
I felt. I was like, I already know everything that's going on here.
right.
Yeah.
And the last one was the Call of the Lion, which is it's important because like the first Legion, the Dark Angels, totally have this like split with within their Legion about like people who are loyal to the Emperor, maybe people who are loyal to the Lion, and then maybe people who are like loyal to the Caliban, which
Right.
is their planet, and like most of the legions, when they reintegrate with their Primarch and they adopt their homeworld, do end up with like this massive risk from like the Terranborns, who are like, I've been campaigning for hundreds of years before we found you, and like the Emperor gave me this duty. Not like I take my orders from the Emperor.
Right.
I still respect and like admire the Primarch, but like he's like I got a higher authority, buddy. Um, so I think the Call of the Lion's good, but I just kind of don't care about the planet that they're on, you know.
Right.
So it's like, okay, well, great, you bombarded another planet, sweet.
Right. You killed everyone on it. Congratulations.
Yeah, the
Right.
like the Dark Angels have like a the thing that they like to do is they go out and find the biggest baddest enemy that they can and specifically fight that. And so like bombing some random people on like a little backwater world that just has radio and can barely look into their own sky is not quite the kind of enemies that they normally fight, you know?
No. No. Yeah.
And it's like, okay, so you went for a scouting mission and found this little village which turned out to be a military base because you guys couldn't tell that there were like tanks and artillery set up at this military base.
Yeah.
Huh, okay.
It's like,
Sure.
yeah, that's annoying. They get taken by surprise.
Yeah, it's a little wonky of a story, but other than that, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
I think.
Certainly fine.
And then the other one I had you read, which is from the Age of Darkness anthology, Liar's Due, which I really
Mm-hmm.
liked. I think Liar's Due is great fun
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, I really had a lot of fun with that one.
because it is the Alpha Legion doing Alpha Legion bullshit, and
Mm-hmm.
just it's weird to be like, and they were just lying, but they were just lying about the end of the war and like totally drove this tiny little town to tear itself apart.
Yeah. But it just shows the power of lies and the power of words.
And like how
That
people who have already like conceptualized the threat as being imminent, regardless of whether or not it is or isn't, will totally just act on that and cannot be swayed from it once they've got that materialized in their mind, you know? Um, so Liasdu has an Alpha Legion operative come down and is just like mimicking and replacing like their news broadcasts. And it's just like, yeah, war's over, the Eternity Gate fell, the Emperor's dead, and Horus is ruling Terra. And everyone freaks the fuck out. And a handful of people are like, does it matter who sits on the throne? And then there's like a meteor storm, and like, oh, it's a Astartes droppers, yeah, drop pods.
right.
The little, I feel so bad for the kid because he like idol worships the Astartes, and like,
Like all he wants to do is like go to Terra and see all the cool stuff there and
and he's from a poor little backwards farm that like their only
mm-hmm.
access to space is entirely automated, and they're not allowed to go in it even.
Right.
And it really makes me wonder, like, why is the settlement there?
Well, that's the whole first part of the book is like the secret is that it's all automated.
Right.
Like eventually they come to figure out that like if all of them dropped dead one morning, nothing would change.
Right.
So yeah, so the question is why are they there?
Because like it's this little colony that like I assume they're actually doing some of the farm work themselves. Like they actually do have to do some sort of farm work, but all of the shit like packaging and shipment is all automated and goes straight up the space elevator.
Right.
But like this tiny little town kind of only cares for itself in the sense that it doesn't have anyone else to care for. Like they
Mm-hmm.
don't that all the towns there are numbered. Like there's 01, 02, 03. And this little
Very
town is
impersonal, yeah.
44, and it's like there's nothing for these people to like latch onto besides the person next to them, and they
Mm-hmm.
aren't even doing that a whole lot, right?
Right.
Because they get into fights with like each other in town meetings, and there's this one poor guy. What was his name? He's the one dude who has a Laslock rifle, right?
Right.
Because his great grandmother fought in the Imperial Army, and it's like, here's your fairly heirloom. It's a Laslock. It's this ancient old piece of technology, and the one time he uses it, other than like his status symbol as like maybe a lawman in this town,
Right.
he blows his friend's face off with it because he's
Yeah.
just so jumped up and hypey, like jittery that like the Astartes are coming and they march in single file. That's why there's only one light. I've heard that about them. and then like this light is coming out of the dust and blows his face off, and realize it's like the one friend he had.
Yeah, that's a brutal moment,
Yeah.
certainly.
Oh
Yeah. So then it's just revealed that there's this one dude, one Alpha Legionnaire.
no,
Well, whatever.
he,
Member of the Alpha Legion.
he's one of the human operatives, like
Yeah.
um, Heptado Bronzy or whatever from like the other books. He's just a dude with like
Yep.
who gets given a job, and that is tear communities apart, tear planets apart, because Horus and the fleets aren't going to go everywhere, but they need to have the feel that they are. Like if this town falls, and then this planet falls,
Planet falls. Yeah.
and that will make all the surrounding planets feel like, oh, Horus is like right next door to us. We need to bend the knee now and do it publicly, otherwise they'll come and destroy us.
And they'll come Space Marine us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. 100%. I mean,
It's a powerful little piece on misinformation and like spreading destruction, you know?
yeah, it really is. And I mean, this operative is very proud of how he can do this on his own in a pretty short amount of time. Dump me on some backwater planet and I can have it turn on itself within a few days.
I think he
And
says he's there for a couple weeks, but yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Well,
And
like even
then
then,
I just move on to the next
come
one.
on.
It's just the
Yep.
power of one person who's good at this. Just laser focusing on one thing for a small amount of time and then move on to the next one. And you have to assume there is more than this guy,
Oh
obviously,
yeah, yeah.
right? There are operatives, thousands of them out there just doing this
Doing this.
same thing all day. Yeah.
It's rough.
It is rough.
It's rough.
Amazing though. Yeah, I thought it was great.
Good. I'm glad you liked that one because I was looking at the other ones, the other stories in that book, the Age of Darkness Anthology, and some of those I feel like you don't need to read all of these. You really don't. Like, if you can
Got it.
get your hands on it, go for it. But there's one that's like rules of engagement where a Gulliman is doing like practice drills with the Ultramarines, but like they're just dressing half the Ultramarines up as like the other Legion and not really getting them. So they dress them up as salamanders, and what they do is they paint them green and give them flamethrowers because the salamanders like flamethrowers. But like, you totally misinterpret like everything about that other Legion's culture and just be like, haha, flamethrower, ha ha. And the Ultramarines come off as like superiority dicks, you know? And it's
Yeah.
fine. You can totally do that to the Ultramarines, but it's like it does nothing in the story except for like this one space marine who's like, well, we only lost the live fire combat drills, like the testing battles, because you, Gulliman, were dressing up as Horus and you were fighting on their sides. If we had you, it would have been different, you know? And Gulliman's like, yes, it might have been different if I was on your side. Which, fine, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right. So we're not doing that.
we're not doing that.
No.
Where are our pins so we can see the rest of these? Because we got to pick the next one.
We do.
What do you think we should do for the next one?
Get the pin. Pinned messages. I like how it says there aren't any pin messages first.
Takes it a second.
It does. All right. I'm there. I made it. I'm going to find where we are.
We're all over the place.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so I found Legion. No fear. Haven't done anything after that, though. Man, there is so much. Scroll, 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 scroll.
Scroll, scroll, scroll. So we could. I mean, we can go back to Prospero Burns. That's Space Wolves and Thousand Suns again. Which I know you were like, meh, we just read that half of that story, right? But that also
Yeah.
leads into, judging by the flowchart, into Scars, which is the White Scars introduction book.
Okay.
Alternatively, there's Descent of Angels, which is the Dark Angels, if you want to know more about the Lion of Caliban. There's a couple of books we can pick up that are just like kind of in the middle of the heresy that don't really connect to anything. Master of Mankind, it's more towards the end of that one, I guess, but like it's not going to give you a whole lot of spoilers for many of the books, I think. And the Emperor's in it. It's fun. Where is that other book? God, what's it called? Outcast Dead. That's another one that's just kind of like in the middle of nowhere. On like, it's not in the like at the end of a chain. It's not in the beginning of a chain.
Right.
It's in a chain of its own, and I don't know where it is on here.
Just heresy stuff.
Yeah, it's set on Terra. It's got more Thunder Warriors in it. Oh, actually, yeah. Okay, can you get Valdor: Birth of the Imperium?
I will take a look right now. How do you spell Valdor?
Valdor. Valdor.
That's easy enough.
Yeah. I don't think it's.
Valdor, Birth of the Imperium?
Yep, that's it. There it is. Outcast Dead. Found it.
No, not available.
Oh, what about Outcast Dead? The Outcast Dead by Graham McNeil.
What's up, Graham? Also, no, unless they're on the Amazon.
Oh, they will be, definitely. All of this is on the Amazon.
All right, we're just trying to avoid the Amazon for the money
Right.
reason.
What about Descent of Angels? We might as well do it. We'll get you to like know of all the legions, I guess. Including
There
the
are a
Dark
lot
Angels.
of them.
There's 18 of them.
Place hold?
Please hold. Please hold.
Why does it 4 weeks wait? 1 copy in use, 1 person waiting.
Oh.
This is digital. It says there are 15 0 out of 10 holds. I don't know what's going on.
0 out of 10 holds. I assume the library app that you have is like, we can only lend out this digital copy so many times, like it were a physical book.
Yeah.
And there are 2 people waiting for a book, or 1. 0
Well,
out of 10 might be like nobody waiting for the book, but 1 person has it.
yeah. But it says 1 copy in use, 1 person waiting, 0 out of 10 holds. I don't know. Whatever. It doesn't matter.
Absolutely no idea.
Yeah, so we were just striking out on the library app today.
Yeah.
All right, fine. Well, Amazon. Okay, which one is your number 1?
Valdor or Birth of the Imperium. It's a fun book. Fun.
Why is the paperback $8 and the Kindle version is $16? Doesn't make no sense.
Is it really?
Yeah.
That's wild. Yeah.
It's super wild. I don't understand.
I mean, in Australia, the paperback is $18 and the Kindle version is $16. So that's still more than I'd like to pay for it, but
Definitely. All right, whatever. We'll do it.
cool. Look at you supporting the writers and the Warhammers.
They're good. They deserve it.
It's true. What we should do is keep an eye out on Humble Bundle. They occasionally have book bundles that are just all Warhammer books.
Ooh, yeah, okay.
Let's have a little look. See at their bundles. Code Like a Pro, Pathfinder, Pipelines and No Sequel, Dungeons and Dragons, or Dungeon Crawl Classics. Sorry, so different. There is a Warhammer Fantasy roleplay book bundle, but that's it at the moment. Nope, not at the moment. Keep an eye out for it though.
Okay, sounds good. We'll do it. Valdor. All right. Time to wrap it up.
Yes.
Excellent. So good. So that was, again, another StarCraft Warhammer podcast for you. And that's going to be it from us. So this has been Falcon Paladin and Somicron coming at you with yet another edition of the Falcon Paladin Hour, streamed live at twitch.tv/Somicron. You can also find the VODs at youtube.com/@Somicron. And if you want to support the podcast, you can do so by buying merch at falconpaladin.store and going to patreon.com/Somicron.
All true facts.
Yeah. So until next time, thanks for hanging out. We'll be back next week. Until then, stay safe and stay healthy. And above all, take care of yourselves.
Bye.
Goodbye.